Scott, this week we're jumping into Saturday morning cartoon. We're checking out MythForce. This is a roguelike first person kind of melee game, and this one has been a ton of fun because when I saw this trailer, I was like, this looks like a commercial for a cartoon I would have watched as a kid. And I don't know about you, but I've been having a blast playing this one. It can be difficult at times when you're playing by yourself, but this one allows you to jump in with your friends up to four, and you're just going to have a blast picking the different heroes here, using their different abilities, and kind of just going from room to room, just upgrading your equipment, upgrading your player. This one has been a ton of fun. What do you think of MythForce when you first jumped in?
Oh, I was missing roguelites for a long time.
Yeah.
I thought this is something that I could really get into. That graphical look to it. It reminds me of, here's the shout out, Rocket Robin. Kind of gave me that old school
Yeah.
cartoon feel, and I thought, cool, I'm going to jump into this, get through, but it is actually punishingly hard when you're by yourself. That's something I had to learn the hard way. But being a roguelite, it gives you a lot of these in-between runs. You can level up different items, your weapons. I stuck with one character to try and really lock that down, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of the random roll effects. When you're going from level to level, you get an upgrade, and that upgrade can determine basically if you win or lose. You get a veto, you can re-roll, but it does just... You'll get something like adds more crit damage, but less of normal damage, or fully charged attacks do extra damage, and stuff like that, which is where the fun really comes in for me, because you hit the right line of upgrades, and suddenly you're incredibly powerful. And that's what you need, because I went through this game almost entirely alone.
Yeah, it's difficult with this one because you can actually set your lobby to be either just open for friends or closed, or just open to the general public. So essentially what happens is you jump into matchmaking and it'll put you into a match. Sometimes you get thrown into a game that someone's already in. You may have to wait for them to clear the room they're in before you can actually jump in and join. Or you jump into a game where you're solo and it kind of populates as you start to play. It's kind of weird. It's a little bit of an interesting way to kind of do it. And like you said, if you want to play fully alone, you can close your lobby, but when you just jump into an open matchmaking, you're not entirely sure what you're going to get. The first time I played, I just had one person, and then the second time I jumped in, there was three other people that jumped in with me, which changes the dynamic of this game completely, because like you said, whether you're playing on easy, normal, or hard, this game is difficult, especially if you're trying to do it alone. No matter what kind of upgrades you get, at some point you are going to get to an area where it is going to be difficult and very punishing to get through. But I found when I first jumped in, they give you the option to either play on controller or mouse and key, and I'm a controller guy, so I picked that up, but I actually kind of had a difficult time kind of zoning in my aim a little bit. I tried changing up the sensitivities, but I just never really found anything I truly liked. But then as soon as I jumped on mouse and key, it changed the game for me, because every character here has a bow, or at least a ranged attack that they can use, and a mouse and key just makes it so much more enjoyable to use that ability, especially when you're playing alone. It's just something you want to be able to use. You use your ranged attacks, so you're not always running in taking melee damage when you're trying to do your other abilities. This one, though, overall has been a lot of fun, Scott, because it was something when I first saw it felt nostalgic, even though I don't know any of these characters or the story or anything we're running through here. But it just felt like I was a kid again, jumping into a game I maybe would have played, back in the early 90s or mid 90s. And this one was just a ton of fun. MythForce is just kind of delivered in a way that I wasn't necessarily expecting. And the best part is, it's only $30.
Yeah, that was a big surprise to me.
Yeah.
You mentioned the controls, and I want to touch on that too, because the gameplay of this, if you're playing like me, and I was exclusively an archer, I played the paladin character, but all that aside, I just pulled out the bow, and it was so hard to actually keep up the pace, especially when you're alone, taking down all these enemies, and as they come at you, it's just way too much. You need that precise aim, because it almost plays out like an aim trainer, where I'm tapping heads the whole game through, and it's difficult otherwise, unless, like you say, you get a random chance of having teammates spawn in. This time, I had a moment where I turned around and there was two people with me, and we made it through a good section of the game. That was fun.
Nice. Well, Scott, I think it's pretty easy to tell. We've had a pretty good time playing MythForce. This one kind of took me by surprise. I didn't really expect that this one's available on all platforms. Like I said, it's the graphics that really got me. It makes you feel like you're in a Saturday morning cartoon playing as one of your favorite heroes. And the best part is you can jump in with your friends if you got other people that want to join you here. And honestly, my experience just overall has been fun. There was a few things that, maybe the AI could have been a little bit better at times, but honestly, there's really no complaints here for me. I got to give this one an 8. What are you going to score it?
I agree with you there. This is a lot of fun from that Saturday morning cartoon look to it. It's surprisingly deep when it comes to teams and composition, and my only holdout is that sometimes the RNG nature of it makes the game really easy, but most of the time it's very difficult. To compensate with that, I would like to have some teammates with me, but it was hard to specify. I'm the host, come join me. It didn't work out in all regards. Sometimes those boss fights were just over in the blink of an eye, but all together, I'm there with an 8 as well. This is an excellent game. I really have to scratch for things I don't like.